Hello, this is Gerald Jovamas. I'm always talking in my videos about the sound in form theory and so on, but I have had some preparations in other systems of logic, like the tarot, for instance, is a logical system. Even some people might regard it as something irrational or magical or made believe or so on. It's based upon logical order, and this logical order can be analyzed and understood better when analyzing this as a form of patterns and natural patterns like that, and these patterns, they are repeating themselves basically like that. And I'm going to talk about it just shortly today because I remembered something that happened in the past about someone who was looking down upon someone who was working at the harbor, couldn't read or write still. But for me, when I met this person, I thought he had a very clear view upon reality and so on, even more clear than the people who look down upon them, which I found a bit strange and a bit sad actually that this happened. And it reminded me about what I wrote in the Fool's Tarot, and I have explained the four different cards, like the hearts, the spades, the diamonds, and the clover, I think it is in English, as actually organs of perception. They're showing you the evolution that always happens while using that kind of focus alone. The Fool's Tarot is also about the combining these perceptions and coming to a higher level, so that you don't only have the 22 circumstances of the first arcana, but not only the perception as seen from the four different organs of perception, like you have that in the second arcana. There's also a third one which combines these two systems into a logical system of combining the forces of visions from all different angles, so that you have a much more profound perception, actually, a bit like based upon the Kabbalah system as well, which is a logical system which is often misunderstood as if it's just about the same kind of pattern all over again. No, it's a system of combining patterns as well. And what I was talking about and what I'm going to explain just shortly is my own vision, then I don't say it's reality, of how I see it today in reality, how this is often used. And you have these four different perceptions, which is the spades here, which stands for the rationality, which is a whole system of development, how every idea is developed in a way, in a pattern of into 14 parts, just as the cards have 14 parts or 14 stages, and they are described by the situations that are related with these cards. That's how I see it, because I prefer to see them as patterns. You have the instinctive balance, which are the diamonds. You have the emotionality, which are the fulfillment, which is the hearts. You have the practical part, which are the clovers or the leaves that you see here, which is the practical way. And they are a kind of balanced out to each other. Now, how are they balanced out? Very often it is like, the instinctive balance, which is the same kind of balance that you also have in an environment. There you see, how is it safe in this environment? How can I move in this environment? What shall I do in this environment that I keep safe, but I also get more space for myself? That's why it's also often associated with politics as well, because they balance the things out instinctively, like what can I do here? In dancing you have the same thing. What can I balance out what I have here and still have as much space to move in it without actually having too much conflict, so that I am in control. Of course, this has influence on, can influence upon reality, so that you can get further with your rationality as well. In a way, there are two things that balance out. So the diamonds and the clovers, they balance these things out. The clovers is about the practicality. When someone is practical, he balances things out immediately. So that's all actually the only organ of perception which is actually always balancing out itself, so it will not have any disappointments. It will always come to a very good practical end result. The balancing out with diamonds will also, in a way, always come out best for himself, because it's like the element of fire. It will come out, but it can of course be destructive and overwhelming towards others. The other one is more like the plant, as you see. It's almost the opposite. It will be much more dealing what is practical for everyone. It's much more social in that way. So it is also a different way of thinking. In a way, the rationality and the emotionality on its own are actually not balancing out, but getting out of the usual balance. So they're having a kind of bluff as well. They can try out certain things. They get out of balance. Rationality is associated with something that is getting you into a balance, but in a way that's not it. That is because it's pushed by your instinct. You want to get out of your borders and have more power with your rationality. But rationality on its own is a bit over the top, will get out of balance. It's like an experiment of getting out of balance. Let's experiment that I think that this is the thing. But after a while, because it will follow the pattern as it is, will get even more out of balance and will become disappointment and even become depressed, because it will not be what it think it was. It is an experiment and it's getting out of balance always. That's the pattern of rationality on its own. You cannot do anything with this rationality alone. Emotionality works in the same way. It also has a bluff where it can reach its extensions, its fulfillment. It's getting out of balance as well, easily as well. And also that part will get out of balance and it will get disappointment time and time again. The only way to overcome this is to try to combine the visions from the different angles. The rational angle, also the rational angle of disappointment, and the emotional angle of disappointment are two stages that you can try to recognize and balance them out at that point. It is a possibility, and that's what is being learned in the third arcana. That's what is expressed there. My point is how it often is balanced out in this society. There are also the four elements. How they are balanced out is that the diamonds, or the instinct, is more used to get a wider range. A strive for power gets you further with rationality. Why? While your strive for fulfillment from the hearts with emotionality might also get you further into the practical sense. When you're having a performance of an artistic nature or whatever, it will also enhance its capacity. So it is already a first combination. But what always will work, and which is actually of the highest order, is only the practical way. While the rationality or the emotionality, they will only work for a while, because after a while they will not overcome their limited capacities that they have. The capacities have to be made, and that's the practical part, and only the practical part works always. That's why I was actually quite shocked of someone looking down upon someone from who was a harbor worker, which actually had a very good vision, a practical vision. He works with his hands, so we will develop that practical vision even better than anyone who's always rationalizing what he can or cannot, or she or can or cannot, while, and after a while it will also appear that of course it will not have these qualities that they think they have in the end. But these persons who are practical all the time, they just know what they can, what they can't, and they have a very good and clear vision. So I respect them even more than the people who rationalize everything or are over the top or emotional, thinking that they will reach anything by just being positive and go towards everything. Both things will lead to disappointment, while the practical part, working in the garden, you can have the plant, is a practical thing, or working with materials, working with things. They are just what they are, and they will become even more practical by just doing that. And that was my side video about related with this book and the ideas that are also quickly introduced in this book. Anyhow, this wasn't the first book, of course, that I wrote. It was a second one that followed, The Changeling of Seasons, where I enhanced everything that was in the Fool's Tarot. Actually, it was part of the Fool's Tarot before, but my translator said it was better to separate that and keep that out, so that I focused mainly upon the idea of the Fool's Tarot, that we are not so much magicians as we think we are, but we are actually following the fool's perception, and that's also the way to do it, to learn and to practice like a fool as we are. The Changeling of Seasons are taking out the ideas of more balances that exist, balances in the 4 seasons mainly, and also it has an introduction of how to balance out certain things with that are related with vowels and consonants, or with words in general. The first few methods, just balanced out without much explanations, is then found in the Changeling of Seasons. And then, okay, the rest is for other videos. Thanks again for watching. Bye.